Hello, my name is Maxime Sanson and I'm working in the Department of Clinical Immunology and Internal Medicine of the Dijon University Hospital. Today I'm going to tell you about giant cell arteritis, GCA, its pathogenesis and the new therapeutic targets. Here are my disclosures. As you know, GCA is a large vessel vasculitis occurring in people over 50 years and involving large vessels, especially the aorta and the extracranial branches of the extracranial carotid arteries. Clinical symptoms of GCA can be separated into two types. First, systemic symptoms that are related to the production of pro-inflammatory cytokines such as IL-6, leading to weight loss, weakness, fever, and a constant acute phase reaction. On the other hand, there are ischemic symptoms such as stroke, headache, jaw claudication, or vision loss that are related to a process of vascular remodeling that is related to the production of interferon gamma, which leads to progressive stenosis and occlusion of affected arteries. The topic of today is about a process leading to transform a healthy artery to a GCA artery. On this slide you can see a temporal artery biopsy from a healthy patient, and you can see that the lumen of the artery is large and the arterial wall is totally preserved and seen. If we focus on this square, you can see that there is a preserved internal elastic lamina separating the media from the intima, and that the intima is very thin and composed of one layer of endothelial cells. On this slide, you can see a GCA artery showing an inflammatory infiltration by mononuclear cells, mainly T cells and macrophages, in all the layers of the artery, and a process of destruction of the media and migration of vascular smooth muscle cells to the intima, triggering the formation of a neointima and the stenosis of the vessel. On this slide, you can see that there is a destruction of the internal elastic lamina, allowing this migration of vascular smooth muscle cells from the media to the neointima. The pathogenesis model of GCA is not totally understood, but quite very well known, thanks to the work of several teams, especially the one of Cornelia Weyand in the US and the one of Maria Cid in Barcelona. We know that the only immunological cells that are present in the arterial wall in healthy arteries are dendritic cells, and that they are at an immature state, characterized by the expression of CCR6 and a low density of TLR. In PMR and GCA, these DC are activated by an unknown danger signal, leading to the production of pro-inflammatory cytokines and chemokines, and these chemokines trigger the recruitment of T cells. We have demonstrated in my team that these T cells are expressing CD161 and CCR6, and that these T cells are pro-inflammatory and very able to differentiate into Th1 and Th17 cells. Indeed, once they are recruited in the arterial wall, T cells are proliferating and then polarized into Th1 cells producing interferon gamma and Th17 cells producing IL-17. And by contrast with this excess of pro-inflammatory T cells, there is an immune tolerance defect characterized, for instance, by a defect in the PD-L1, PD-1 immune checkpoint that was demonstrated recently by the team of Cornelia Weyand. And furthermore, there is a defect in T-regulatory cells that we have demonstrated in my lab, showing a decrease in the number of circulating Tregs, and also that the cells infiltrating GCA lesions do not express FOXP3, that is the main transcription factor of T-regulatory cells. So to summarize, there is in GCA an imbalance between pro-inflammatory T cells that are increased, for instance Th1 and Th17 cells, and anti-inflammatory T cells that are decreased, such as T-regulatory cells. And it is probably related to an increase in the serum IL-6. So you have now understood that T cells are very important for GCA pathogenesis, and that these T cells produce IL-17 that is very fast, very quickly controlled by glucocorticoids, and that they also produce interferon gamma that is less inhibited by glucocorticoids. And thanks to the work of the team of Maria Cid in Barcelona, we now know the effect of interferon gamma in GCA. In fact, they have demonstrating using ex vivo culture of temporal artery biopsies that interferon gamma induces the production of several chemokines by vascular smooth muscle cells. Vascular smooth muscle cells will in fact produce CCL2, that is a ligand of CCR2, which is expressed by monocytes. This will lead to the recruitment of monocytes in the arterial wall and their differentiation into macrophages, as you can see on this slide with this staining of CD68. Interferon gamma will also induce the production of CXCL9, 10, and 11 by vascular smooth muscle cells, and leading to the recruitment of cells expressing CXCR3, which is expressed by Th1 cells and CD8 T cells. So this will lead the initiation of a positive back loop, since Th1 and CD8 T cells are able to be activated and produce more and more interferon gamma. Then all these CD4 and CD8 T cells, together with monocytes and macrophages, will lead to the formation of granulomatous inflammation and the formation of giant cells that will produce different mediators, leading to the destruction of the arterial wall, for instance MMP9, as it was demonstrated by the team of Cornelia Weyand recently, but also other mediators such as VEGF, leading to a process of neoangiogenesis and the recruitment of more inflammatory cells. And more importantly, the production of different mediators such as PDGF and endothelin-1, leading to the activation, the migration and the proliferation of vascular smooth muscle cells from the media to the intima, and a progressive stenosis of the lumen of the vessel, leading to ischemic signs of GCA, and this process is named vascular remodeling. To illustrate this vascular remodeling, I show you slides of temporal artery biopsy studied by confocal microscopy in my lab. On this slide you can see a healthy artery. In blue you have the collagenous structure of the artery, and in red cells expressing alpha smooth muscle actins, that is to say vascular smooth muscle cells. As you can see, vascular smooth muscle cells are localized in the media, and which is very well organized. On this slide you can see a GCA artery. So first you see that the lumen is totally occluded by strong vascular remodeling, that there is inflammation in the arterial wall since CD45 cells are localized in all the layers of the artery. CD45 is staining leukocytes. And furthermore, alpha smooth muscle actin cells, vascular smooth muscle cells, are localized in the media, but there are also in the neointima cells expressing both alpha smooth muscle actin and CD90, which means that these cells are myofibroblasts that have migrated from the media to the intima to trigger the formation of hyperplastic neointima. So what is the treatment of GCA? You know that the cornerstone of the treatment of GCA remains steroids. In France, we usually start steroids at 0.7 to 1 milligram per kilo per day of prednisone, and then we progressively taper this dose to reach 15 milligrams at 3 months, 10 milligrams at 6 months, and try to withdraw steroids between 12 to 24 months. What is the effect of steroids? In fact, steroids are very effective in GCA. They relieve symptoms very fast, and it is probably related to a very rapid decrease in the serum IL-6. They are also able to block T-cell activation, proliferation, and polarization, especially into Th17 cells. However, steroids have no effect on the restoration of Tregs and a very mild effect on Th1 polarization, and they have no effect on vascular remodeling and CD8 T cells. So steroids are not the perfect treatment from an immunological point of view in GCA, and it can be illustrated by this study of the group of Cornelia Weyand, in which they performed a second temporal artery biopsy in 40 patients treated with prednisone for GCA. And this very interesting study have shown that in 50% of cases, inflammation was still present after 3, 6, 9 or 12 months of treatment, showing that steroids are not the best, the ideal treatment for GCA. So these results are very interesting to compare with real life, because in real life about half of patients will relapse, usually after a mean follow-up of 7 months and at a mean prednisone dose of 7 milligram per day. Furthermore, you know that steroids are generating a side effect, and this study that you know very well demonstrated a few years ago that about 90% of patients receiving prednisone for GCA will have at least one GC-related side effect after a median time of 1 year. Therefore, it is very important to develop new strategies to spare GC in GCA. And you have on this slide all the treatments that are not working: azathioprine, dapsone, anti-TNF-alpha. So we will go very fast on this slide. Up to recent data, the only DMARD that allowed to obtain a mild GC sparing effect was methotrexate. It was demonstrated in a meta-analysis gathering 3 randomized controlled trials, and in this study it was shown that methotrexate decreases the risk of first and second relapse and is able to give a GC sparing effect of about 800 milligram in 1 year. So are there other therapeutic targets? The answer is yes, there are many other therapeutic targets. And as you know, one of the most important is IL-6. IL-6, serum IL-6 is correlated with GCA activity and is decreased when GCA is in remission. The second thing is that IL-6 is able to trigger an amplification of the recruitment of leukocytes, which is related to an increase in the expression of adhesion molecule in vasa vasorum. Furthermore, IL-6 is a very important cytokine that controls the balance between Tregs and Th17 cells, and which is particularly involved in GCA pathogenesis. As you know, this led to test tocilizumab in GCA, and to this very important JIACTA study published in 2017 in the New England Journal of Medicine by the group of John Stone. In this phase 3 double-blind, double-placebo trial, authors have compared 4 arms. In two arms, patients were receiving tocilizumab subcut every week or every other week in association with prednisone during 6 months. In the 2 placebo group, patients were receiving prednisone during either 6 months or 1 year. And the primary endpoint was analyzed at 1 year and was the sustained remission percentage with adherence to the protocol-defined prednisone dose at 1 year. As you know, results have demonstrated the superiority of tocilizumab to placebo, whatever the duration of the prednisone treatment. However, we have very few data after withdrawal of the treatment with tocilizumab. We conducted this small phase 2 trial in my center a few years ago, in which patients, new onset GCA patients, received 4 infusions of tocilizumab in association with prednisone during 10 months. And we observed that relapses occurred around 3 months after the last tocilizumab infusion, showing that this treatment could be very effective but also suspensive, at least in some patients. And these data were confirmed in a larger number of patients with a long-term follow-up of the JIACTA study, in which the treatment were stopped in part of the patients at 1 year. And you can see that with the follow-up, the relapse-free survival of patients is more comparable between groups after 2 years of follow-up. So to summarize, tocilizumab is dramatically effective to control GCA symptoms, but it is probably suspensive, at least in a part of patients. We do not know exactly the cost effectiveness of this treatment. There is no proof of its efficacy on vascular remodeling, and very importantly, the biological follow-up of these patients is very difficult, since tocilizumab is totally stopping the production of CRP and ESR. For instance, in case of infectious event in a patient receiving tocilizumab, like on this paper, with a patient with pneumonia, you can see that at the time of pneumonia occurred, there was no CRP and no ESR. So you have to be very careful in detecting disease activity and infections in these patients treated with toci. So the place of tocilizumab in France have been defined by our authorities, and we are allowed to prescribe this drug in patients having a corticodependence over 7.5 milligram a day, and that is giving multiple relapses, and also in patients needing a very rapid decrease of GC because of very severe GC-related side effects that are not controlled by usual treatments. So are there other therapeutic targets? The answer is yes. You can block IL-1 with anakinra, and there is currently an ongoing clinical trial in France. You can also try to use older DMARDs such as methotrexate, and we are currently conducting in France a randomized control trial comparing 1 year of subcutaneous treatment with tocilizumab to 1 year of subcutaneous treatment with methotrexate in association with prednisone. It is a non-inferiority trial testing methotrexate in comparison with toci, and this trial is currently ongoing in France. You can also target T-cell activation with abatacept, phase 2 randomized control trial was conducted by the team of Longford and colleagues and published a few years ago in Arthritis and Rheumatism, showing a mild efficacy and mild GC sparing effect. Phase 3 trial is ongoing. It can be interesting to target P40 units that is shared by IL-12 and IL-23 with ustekinumab. A recent trial was reported in last ACR meeting showing that it could be not effective, but this trial was an open label trial with a very rapid decrease in prednisone dose, and we are conducting in my center a comparative trial comparing prednisone alone to prednisone and ustekinumab in relapsing GCA. One of the most promising treatments, in my opinion, are treatments blocking the signaling pathways of cytokines, JAK inhibitors. As you know, JAK are kinase that are involved in the signaling of different cytokines, and with these drugs you are able to block different cytokines at the same time. So it can be interesting in GCA to block JAK1, to block the signaling of both IL-6, so vascular inflammation, and interferon gamma to block vascular remodeling. It was demonstrated by the team of Cornelia Weyong that this concept was very interesting to block vascular inflammation and vascular remodeling together, for instance in this paper with tofacitinib. So there are currently two trials. One is a phase 3 clinical trial investigating upadacitinib in active GCA, and it's currently ongoing. As you have understood, the unmet need in GCA is vascular remodeling that you can try to target by the blockade of different molecules. For instance, endothelin 1 clinical trial will start very soon in France, PDGF, GM-CSF with mavrilumab, for instance, VEGF or mTOR. To conclude, I'd like to say that steroids are the cornerstone of the treatment of GCA, that this treatment is very effective but is not the perfect treatment for GCA, and that as a second line you can use tocilizumab or methotrexate, and that the unmet need in GCA is vascular remodeling, and there are promising drugs that could control this vascular remodeling, such as ustekinumab or JAK inhibitors. I thank you for your attention.